Reducing stress. We can all use that, myself included. In my practice now, practicing doctor of chiropractic for 32 years, I say one of the most underrated factor when it comes to health and recovery is stress and management, particularly of chronic stress. On this show, I want to lay a foundation of things that I can do, we can do to recognize chronic stress. We'll talk about that in just a second. And strategies to peel ourselves away from that, to relate to circumstances in our life a little bit better, having a toolbox that you can build that can help you deal with day-to-day pressures and challenges. I have asked hundreds of my patients the following question. Can people think themselves sick? And everybody says, yes. Can people think themselves well? Yes. Everybody says yes. Okay, so that establishes the foundation. What we are thinking about, literally these invisible thoughts in our frontal lobe, control how our physical body is short-term, long-term. We've all heard cases of spontaneous healing, people given sentences that they're going to live a minute, a day, a week, 3 months, and they live 30 years. One person is hanging on by a thread and they make it out. Another person seems okay and they don't make it, or whatever. There's these contrasting stories that you can hear all the time. And these things have been talked about for centuries. So I'm going to talk about chronic stress. Now, our system is well adapted for acute stress. Simon Sinek says this very, very well in a variety of his presentations and videos. Simon Sinek, go to YouTube, listen to some of his stuff. He's really good. So acute stress is the lion walks into the studio, looks at us. That's acute stress. That's fight or flight. Our body ramps up. We get all those physiologic changes. Blood is shunted to our muscles. Our heart rate goes up, our breathing, and so forth. We are ready to fight, flight, or freeze. Okay? But let's say the lion says, I don't want to care about you guys, and leaves. Okay. Whew. All right. 10 minutes later, we're back to completely normal. In the wild, the deer is at the water hole. The tiger comes, the deer sees it, takes off, right? Runs away, gets away. 10 minutes later, it's by the water hole, drinking water and eating. And so that acute stress goes right away. Stress chemicals evaporate. Physiology goes back to normal. Not a problem. It's not going to impact us. What gets us is the chronic drip, drip, drip of stress, as Simon Sinek says, and many others. That's what gets us. That's where the problems are. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about that, about strategies that we can do here. And I think Bruce Lipton, he's written a couple of books, Biology of Belief, The Wisdom of Your Cells, great books. Go listen to his videos, great website, Bruce Lipton, good stuff. The Biology of Belief is a great book. So we can talk about stress and wellness. We can actually talk about it in like two categories. Bruce Lipton talks about it like this. He says we're in a stress state, or we're in a healing, growth, loving, beautiful state, if you will, okay? So he calls it growth and protection. We're in a growth state, that's where we want to be, that's where we want to spend most of our time in. Protection is the body into that stress category, into fight, flight, or freeze, and that's when our physiology is turned off, that's when blood is sent to the extremities away from the gut and the heart and so forth. That's when our stress chemicals are running the show. That's when our cells are not going to be signaled to produce healthier cells and so forth, okay? So here's a list of things that fall into these categories. Growth and protection, okay? So under the growth category would be love. Protection is stress. And you can see that these are going to be positive and negative, just for a way to understand this. Growth is gut, blood is in our gut. Protection is extremities. Growth is our forebrain is being active, our frontal lobe. Protection is our lizard brain, where it's just survival, right? Healing happens in growth. Fight or flight is over here in protection. Cells move toward things that are in the growth category. Cells move away from things when we're in protection mode. Immune system function is better in growth. Immune system function is compromised when we're in protection mode, stress mode. I'll ask people, when you have just been given a great raise and 4 weeks off paid and your benefits went up and your family gave you great news and the kids are doing great and whatever's going on, is that when you get a cold? No. How about work has been long, it's been too much time since you've had a break, and COVID and money and this and that and not enough time, not enough sleep. Is that when you become susceptible to a cold? Sure, right? That's the differences here. You're more smart when you're in growth mode. You're dumb when you're in protection mode. And literally, when you're stressed out, you go in and you've pulled an all-nighter and you're going to take a test, and you go to the test and it says, write down your name, and you're like, I forget. That would be in protection or stress mode. Don't stay up all night studying for a test. Ideal wellness is over here in growth. Chronic disease is over here in protection. Telomeres, the tips of your chromosome that indicates cellular age, is up in growth. Telomeres are shortened when we're in protection too long. Attraction is over here in growth. Fear is over here in protection. Creativity is here. Reflex is under protection. Parasympathetic, rest and digest, happens over here in growth. Sympathetic stress is over here in protection. Peace is over here in growth. Angst over here. I actually added to this list. A lot of this is Bruce Lipton. Some of it is me. Repair is over here in growth. Protection is emergency. Anger is over here in the protection mode. Okay. Rest and digest, as we talked about, that's what is here. Fight, flight, or freeze is over here in protection. As we were discussing the show beforehand, we'll give you another example. Dogs are over here in growth, and cats are over here in protection. No, sorry, cat lovers. No, I love cats too. I love cats. No, that was all right. But this next one is for sure. The Red Sox are over here in growth, and the evil Empire Yankees are over here in protection. Okay, anyway, so creation is over here in growth. Survival is over here in protection. You can see what we want to try to gravitate towards. There's the foundation, right? And this is dealing with, again, chronic stress. When we're letting the circumstances affect us and we're ruminating over these negative thoughts about us and what we're doing and what we've done and what our past was like and what our childhood was like and so forth. And those ongoing low-level drip of chronic stress is where it gets us into protection and all the negative factors that are there. So as Bruce Lipton likes to say, and Tony Robbins and Oprah Winfrey and Wayne Dyer and Les Brown and Louise Hay, whoever you might want to listen to for assistance. So what do we do to get out of that? If we have this chronic problem that we're faced, if we had childhood tendencies and conditioning over here that we dragged along with us and so forth, how do we break that cycle? You be consistent. You go at it all the time, just like you're building a muscle. The brain is like a muscle. That's the title of a book. The brain is like a muscle. So you can train that over time, but you have to be consistent with a program of activity that you're going to change and recondition your mind to more of a growth mentality and away from the protection mentality. Who's the best expert at this? It's Tony Robbins. He's all about mental, emotional, spiritual conditioning. That's what he does. So if you need assistance, if you need a change, not only is it listening to good programs, more on that in a moment, but a lot of people talk about meditation, mindfulness, yoga, Tai Chi, and so forth, right? Well, Tony Robbins has a great program. If you go to YouTube and put in Tony Robbins priming, you can also get this off of his YouTube page. You can probably get it off his website. Tony Robbins priming, it's like a 10-minute exercise that you can do to prime your brain, to prime your day, to take control of your thoughts, to take control of this frontal lobe. And if you do it again and again and again, you're going to start to change those preconceived ideas, those conditioning that we had in the past that is not serving us any longer, that you want to break the cycle. Another one that I like is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's written at least 3 great books that I have read: Becoming Supernatural, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Listen to the titles here now too. Bruce Lipton's titles, right? The Biology of Belief. So our belief systems can affect our biology. The wisdom of your cells. He talks about if you want to improve your cellular health, which is your body health, you have to create better conditions mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Joe Dispenza's books that I was just mentioning, Becoming Supernatural. Breaking the habit of being yourself. The titles of the book is exactly what the content is amazing. You are the placebo. Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, and others say when drug companies are doing research, they have to account for the placebo effect. It's something like 30% of people given a placebo pill get better. They get as good as what the drug is intending to do. 30%. How did that work? There was no active ingredient in that placebo to affect that person's scenario, physiology, biology. The only thing that was conscious thought. That pill I'm taking is the solution for my problem. Yes. And they thought that over and over again as they're taking the pill. They made a change. They reconditioned their mind. So Dr. Joe Dispenza, he has some YouTube videos on meditation. You can go to his website. He's got a couple of videos. You can go to Amazon and purchase some of his meditations as well. I did Dr. Joe Dispenza's 90-day online intensive. You have to do stuff every day for 90 days. Incredible program. I highly recommend it. And that's available on his website. I did that a couple of years ago. That was great. Lissa Rankin, Mind Over Medicine was her book. Great website. Check it out. I listened to this book. It was fantastic. She was, again, another person. She's a physician. And in school, she had incredible health problems. And she figured it out later it was all stress. So now she's a Mind Over Medicine practitioner. That's her whole deal. Kelly Brogan, I've talked about her in this program before. She has several books, great online program. The book that I read, Own Yourself. Again, just listen to the content and you're understanding, yes, this is taking control of the thoughts, the things that I can control in my life. She's got a great online program, check that out. Dr. Kim Duramo, the Mind-Body Toolkit. Again, another person out there trying to help you, giving you tools in your toolbox to control your life, control your thoughts, make your future better, make your biology better. Great website, great program, so check that out. I've talked about movies, and again, we're going to take away from the social media stuff that you might be spending too much time in, the movies that are not going to build you up that you might be spending too much time in. Notice I'm not telling you don't do that, but certainly news. How much good news have you heard of in the past minute, day, week, month, decade, or two? There's really not a lot of good news in there. Most everybody's saying take a media holiday, reduce your news consumption, and then you move over and you go into movies like this. Finding Joe the movie. A movie called The Shift with Wayne Dyer. And by the way, those two are G-rated, Finding Joe the movie and The Shift. Again, there it is. Just think of that title, The Shift. You're creating a shift here. Great movie. It's a little funny and corny at times, but boy, the message is really powerful. Then you can do one and just remember there's a lot of profanities in this one, so just beware of that. I Am Not Your Guru with Tony Robbins. So again, these are things showing how he will introduce transformational change to people with techniques and tactics and reconditioning and so forth. I do this all the time. I'm listening to inspirational podcasts and people and interviews all the time as much as I can when I have free time. I'll play it in the background where I'm doing things around the house. I've talked about David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. Okay. Again, just keep in mind if you listen to any of his podcasts and interviews, many of them can have profanities, so just be aware of that. The movie Unbroken, I've mentioned that before, with Louis Zamperini, the American prisoner of war in World War II. Not an easy movie to watch because there are scenes which are depicting life in a prisoner of war camp, so it's not an easy watch. But if you do get that movie, make sure you listen to the interview with the real Louis Zamperini before he passed away at the end of the movie. Will take your breath away. Absolutely fantastic. Anything by Tony Robbins will help. If you like Tony Robbins, you can get into that. Some podcasts that I listen to because these people interview other thinkers that can help you. Rich Roll, London Real is another one. Great guests on there. Tim Ferriss, a lot of you know Tim Ferriss and all of his podcasts and videos, and he's interviewed everywhere, and all of his books. Impact Theory is another one. You're going to find a lot of these people that deal with these issues, reconditioning yourself. Earlier on, I mentioned Simon Sinek. great programs, books, podcasts, and so forth. Check out his website. Jocko Willink. Jocko has a popular podcast, great interviews, and people on there as well. Of course, anything by these people I'm going to mention: Oprah Winfrey, Wayne Dyer, Eric Thomas, Mel Robbins, great stuff by Mel Robbins, Seth Godin, Les Brown. These are people that I have listened to. You can find your own stuff. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's tons of more people in there. And again, taking a better control of that conscious subconscious control mechanism, you might want to consider getting into meditation and mindfulness if you're not doing that already. I had mentioned Joe Dispenza. Dandapani on his website, and you can go to YouTube and listen to some of his meditations. Emily Fletcher is another person I've mentioned before. Pema Chodron, Tara Brach, these are people that conduct meditations. Swami Satchidananda is somebody that I just listened to recently with a great meditation there as well. So this is how you can start to shift from more of a protection to a growth mindset, coming off the chronic stress to more peace and love and joy in your life by reprogramming. We can reprogram this beautiful supercomputer that we've had there. And so even if circumstances that are difficult and challenging and even considered negative come our way, we're going to be able to handle them better by having more tools in our toolbox. And that's what this introduction is all about. If you'd like me to do more programs on this, please let me know. I'm Dr. Scott Fuller.